I honestly don't even know how to start this video. I never thought I would have to make this video, and yeah, from the title you guys understand what this video is going to be about. I'm going to try my very hardest to get through this video, kind of explain to you guys what happened, my story, and my hopes in sharing this video is that I can help someone else going through this, because when I got home and I found out the news, which I'll get into in a bit, I researched a lot of videos on YouTube. I didn't really fully understand what was happening. Obviously, I was devastated. And watching these type of videos really gave me some comfort. It helped me just not feel so alone. And me personally, I feel like maybe this happened to me so that I could share it with you guys. I want to believe that there is, this is harder than I thought. I want to believe that there is a reason that this happened, and maybe this is the reason. Maybe I'm meant to share it with you guys. So in today's video, I will be talking about our miscarriage story. This is very recent to us. This happened 3 weeks ago, so still very new, still very raw. I'm still trying to work through all my emotions, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I want to obviously talk about the miscarriage and everything, but I want to kind of talk you guys through the backstory of us like trying to conceive and everything like that. So I have been with my husband for 8 years, and we have wanted children pretty much the whole time. We wanted to wait until we got married. We wanted to wait until we had a house and he got a new vehicle and all these things. So we decided we were going to start trying in January of this year. So it's almost been a year since we began trying to conceive. We kind of had everything in line. You guys know I built my house. I have a room in my house that I specifically have waiting for a child. I haven't decorated that room at all. My hands are like shaking. I haven't decorated that room at all. I just haven't wanted to, because I picture that as a baby room. So just to go through like the trying to conceive process, I just want to talk about that a little bit, because I think that that has a lot to do with how I was feeling with the miscarriage and everything like that. So like I said, we decided to begin trying in January, and those first few months were so exciting. You know, we were so excited to finally be thinking about having a family, and it was all very exciting. I would say by like month 4, the excitement kind of went to like, why isn't this happening? And I know sometimes it takes a long time. I know that people, you know, it takes years to conceive. I understand that. I was on birth control for a long time. I was on it for about 7 years. So I knew that going in as well, that sometimes it can take a while to get out of your system and everything like that. So that process to me was very difficult. I want kids so badly. I have wanted kids for so long. And the process of that, let me try and collect myself here. The process of that was just very hard for me. I had a lot of instances where I thought I was pregnant, I wasn't pregnant, and I know a lot of people go through that, and that's why I wanted to touch a little bit on that in the beginning of this video, just so you guys know that kind of where my mindset was at. So I had quite a few instances where I had missed my cycle. I thought I was pregnant, even knowing I wasn't getting like a positive test. In my mind, I was like, I've never missed one in my entire life. Like, I must be pregnant, you know, and I'm reading all these things about people who didn't find out they were pregnant until they got like blood work done and all these things. So I went and seen my doctor, and they basically said like, no, you're not pregnant. Your blood work came back. You're not. I was convinced, you guys, that I still was. And this is the first time that I had missed my cycle. So I was convinced. I went and seen 2 different doctors. And by the second doctor saying like, no, like you're not, in my head, I was still like, yes, I am. Like, I know that I am. And it was really hard to kind of accept the fact that I wasn't, because I was so determined that I was. I was psyching myself out with all these different symptoms that I had and all these things. And that was, I want to say, I can't remember exactly when that was, but it's quite a few months before we actually did get pregnant. So that going through that was kind of tough in itself, because I almost feel like I literally thought that I was pregnant, and I was just so disappointed when I found out I wasn't. And there was also a few other instances where, you know, I tricked my body into thinking I was, and that was something that kept happening. I think it was because I was so focused on getting pregnant. It's like all I could think about every single day, all day. So I was, you know, taking all the things, doing all the things. I stopped drinking. I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. And, you know, I was taking prenatals and all these things. So fast forward to actually finding out that I was pregnant. I found out it was a Sunday morning, and my husband was home, and all the other time, you guys know I work from home. This is like my full-time job. So I was annoyed that the day that I found out that I actually was, he was home, because I couldn't contain how excited I was. So I told him I was going to the grocery store, and it was like 10 a.m. And he's like, why are you going to the grocery store? Like, what's really going on? Because I had one test, and I wanted to make sure before I told him. So I wanted to go up to the store and get like a couple more just to like confirm. And so anyways, he figured out what was going on, and he was like, why, you're not going to the grocery store? Like, I know you. So anyways, I ended up telling him. We were both very excited. I was just so overwhelmed. I was so excited. And I feel like, especially going through the process of like my mind playing all those tricks on me and things, I felt like finally, like, this is happening. Oh my gosh, like I can't believe it. So we found out in the beginning of October, and I ended up telling a few people. I didn't tell many people. I told a few like close friends, and I told my sister, and I was just so excited, you guys, like so excited. I just couldn't believe it was finally happening. And we started to think about baby names, and we started to think about like what we were gonna do for the nursery and all these things. So we decided we were gonna tell people on Thanksgiving, because at that point I would be exactly 12 weeks on Thanksgiving. So I had called and set up a doctor's appointment. I had told them, you know, like I got a positive pregnancy test, like I'm pregnant kind of a thing. They set up an appointment for 7 weeks, and I would go in and kind of just go through the basics, just like my history, medical history and things like that. And then they told me at 10 weeks we would have our first ultrasound, and that's when we would meet our doctor. I did end up switching doctors and finding a new one, because my old doctor was based out of where I used to live, and I knew like with delivery and everything I would want a doctor out here. So 10 weeks I would meet the doctor. So through my thought process, like through this time, basically, I had every reason to believe that I was pregnant. I never had any spotting. I never had any cramps, anything. No reason to believe that I wasn't pregnant. I was having some nausea. I wasn't really getting sick, but food wasn't sounding good to me. I was experiencing like sore breasts, things like that. Like I was experiencing all the symptoms. I had read up on miscarriages, and I knew that kind of once you started getting into like the 10-week, 12-week time, like that's when, you know, it drops drastically. So the fact that I hadn't had any of those symptoms, I had no reason to believe that something was wrong. So fast forward to our appointment. My husband did go with me. We were so excited. I will say that I did have I was very nervous, and I don't know why I was so nervous, but I was so nervous, and I kept thinking, like, what if they tell me something's wrong? I don't know if that's normal to feel that way, or now looking at it, like, in hindsight, if maybe I felt that way because, like, eternally I knew something was wrong. I'm not really sure. So we went in for our appointment. We were both really excited, and, you know, we're in the room, and she's talking about, I need to collect myself here. So we're in the room, and she talks to us a little bit prior to starting the ultrasound. She talks to us, like I said, just about normal things, asked if I had any questions, things like that, what to expect. And so she starts the ultrasound, and she does it first on my stomach, and she pulls it up, and right away I could tell that something was wrong. I had looked up a million ultrasounds at 10 weeks just to know, like, what I could expect. You know, I was reading on my app every day, like, your baby's the size of a grape, your baby's the size of this. I had started a baby book. I was taking like pictures. I started at 10 weeks taking pictures. So at this point I was 10 and a half weeks. And so she pulls up the ultrasound, and she has like a look on her face, and I can tell like something's wrong. And then she pulls it up on the screen, and I can't see anything. You can't see a baby. So she ends up doing it vaginally, and the same thing, you can't see anything, so she quickly puts away the machine. Me and my husband are both just like confused. So she tells us that we are experiencing what is called a blighted ovrum. So basically what that is, or how she was explaining it to us, is basically like the egg is implanted, but it never really fully develops into a baby. So pretty much I had inside of me the sac, like the pregnancy sac of a 10-week sac, and yet there was no baby in there. So that's why I thought I was pregnant. That's why I was expecting or experiencing these other symptoms and everything, is because my body fully thinks I'm pregnant. And at one point I was, it just never developed into a baby. So that was really hard to hear. Obviously, we were devastated. But I think what was hard for me is I didn't understand. I'd never heard of this happening to anyone before. I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't fully understand it. I'm like, so I'm not really pregnant, but I kind of am. So it was really just hard to like process. She had explained to me that I would either miscarry naturally, but at this point, with it being already 10 weeks, almost 11 weeks at this point, my body hasn't caught on. So she explained to me that normally at this stage, she didn't know if my body would catch on. It might basically kind of just wait it out for the miscarriage to happen. Or there are other options that you could do, such as like a DNC, or you can take pills to push along the miscarriage. So she's telling us all of this information, and I'm just so confused because, like I said, I didn't know that this was a thing. So I got home. Obviously, we're devastated. They had done some blood work just to kind of see what my levels were and to know what was kind of going on. But she just explained to us that at 10 weeks, you know, there should be a baby kicking and arms and legs and all these things, and they weren't there. So we got home, and it wasn't until I got home and I started watching videos and reading about it that I kind of started to understand what it really was. And I will say that the reason I mostly want to make this video is because when I got home, I was so devastated. I still am, obviously. But those videos just, I don't know how to explain it, but they gave me a sense of like peace in a way, in knowing that I wasn't alone in this process, and knowing that it wasn't a more common thing than I thought. And also listening to just how other people felt and the feelings that they had. And, you know, in my head, I'm like, okay, so you were never really pregnant. Like, I wasn't really pregnant. There wasn't a baby. Like, it's hard to kind of grasp the concept of thinking you're pregnant for, you know, weeks and weeks, because at this point we'd found out a month and a half ago. So it was kind of hard to grasp the feeling of knowing that whole time, you know, you're talking to something, or, you know, talking to what you think is your baby, and there's nothing there. That was what was hard for me to grasp. So I went ahead and I got the blood work back, and she had said that my levels had went down a little bit. I did it over the course of a few days, and we went ahead and decided to get a second opinion. Honestly, you guys, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt totally different this time, and this is the reason I want to talk a little bit about that other experience with thinking I was pregnant so bad, is I didn't feel that. I felt very scared, more or less scared of the idea of the miscarriage happening, not really having control over that happening. I was scared for when it was going to happen. I was obviously devastated, but I didn't feel the sense like, oh, they're wrong. Like, they just didn't see the baby. I didn't feel that. And I don't know if that's because of what had happened prior and I just didn't have it in me. But I felt like maybe that's why I kind of had that feeling, like maybe I knew the whole time subconsciously, I just didn't know it. I don't know. So we ended up getting the second opinion, and we went to the other ultrasound, or I went to the other ultrasound, and it was the same thing. Like, she just explained to me that, you know, it was the blighted ovum and there was no baby again. This time she did measure the sac, and the sac was measuring at 8 weeks. So that means at about 8 weeks, it kind of stopped growing. So at that point, my body is starting to catch on to what's happening. And she said that, you know, I would more than likely miscarry within the next week. So I decided to go ahead with a Dnc procedure. I set that up, and for me, that decision, obviously, if you're going through this or if you've been through this, that decision is a very personal decision. I feel like you kind of have to decide for yourself what's best for you. For me personally, I just felt like that decision of going ahead and doing that just gave me a little bit of peace of mind, of at least not knowing, you know, I'd have to experience passing the sac and everything like that, because that was terrifying to me. Also, I feel like it gave me a sense of control over the situation, because I felt so out of control with it, and I feel like it kind of gave me a sense of like I could control the situation a little. So I went ahead and I did schedule and have the Dnc procedure. I don't want to get into too much about that, but I will talk about it for a second, because I was also doing a lot of research on the procedure. I didn't really know. I mean, I kind of knew about it, but I didn't really know too much about it. So it is a procedure where they go in and take out basically the tissue and the sac and everything like that. So it is done under anesthesia, so I was put under for the procedure. I don't remember it at all. It was definitely like a full like surgery, even knowing the procedure alone is only about 5 minutes, they said. The actual procedure itself was, you know, a full surgery. So you had your anesthesiologist, you had a bunch of nurses, the doctor, and everything like that. You were taken to recovery afterwards. I don't remember anything from the surgery, like I said. I remember going into the room and putting the mask on me and her telling me to take deep breaths. That's about the only thing I remember from the actual procedure, which I was nervous, like maybe, I mean, I know you're put under, but I didn't know how I'd feel, you know, waking up and things like that. So waking up, I didn't really have much pain. I had a little bit of pain, and they did end up giving me something for it. I'm not sure what they gave me, but it did help. And then also I was just so cold. When I woke up, I was like freezing. They put like blankets over my head, over my body. I was really cold, but there was no actual pain from the procedure. And that's what I was kind of looking for when I was researching these videos, what the procedure was like, if there was pain, how was like the aftercare kind of a thing. So it's been a week now since I had the procedure. And I would say like the first day, it was a little bit of pain. They did give me some painkillers. I would say there was a tiny bit of discomfort, a little bit of pain, but nothing unmanageable. I feel fine now. Even those first like few days, I didn't really have any pain. Very, very just like minimal cramping, and it wasn't bad at all. I did want to just kind of a little bit mention that process, because like I said, I was also researching that. And so kind of how I'm feeling now is I'm feeling a bit of relief after the surgery. I feel, obviously I'm still sad. It's still hard to talk about. And when we discussed, you know, sharing our story or not sharing our story, my mind, I feel like I should share it. And the reason, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, is just that maybe I can help someone else, you know, with telling my story, and maybe just not feeling so alone, you know, or giving you maybe a little light on what this is. Maybe after this video, you'll go and research it, and, you know, maybe you'll just be more aware, or if you know someone going through this situation, like maybe hearing how I kind of feel will maybe give comfort, you know, be able to make you give someone else comfort who's going through this. It's definitely been tough. It was especially tough like on Thanksgiving, because that's when we were going to tell everyone. So it was really hard to feel, you know, that togetherness that like Thanksgiving gives you. It was more just kind of like a weight I felt all day, like, you know, this is when we're going to tell everyone. Like, we were so excited, and it was just hard to process that. It's still hard to process that. I won't say that I've like not thought about it even a day. It's in my brain at all times. I will say though that you guys have helped me so much, like more than you guys even know. Obviously you didn't know this was going on. I've gotten a few messages of people being like, hey, like you don't seem like yourself. And the reason I decided to share this is not only to kind of, I feel like, give me a little bit of closure. I'm really ever gonna have a closure, but kind of a way to just help me heal in just expressing how I'm feeling. And also just to thank you guys, because without you guys, I don't even know if I would have been able to like get out of bed. The reason I was able to get out of bed and the reason I was able to, put on this happy face and talk about makeup is because it gave me a distraction. And, I come on here and I'm, hi guys, welcome back to my channel. And like even knowing inside I was feeling so sad, it gave me a sense of like something else to put my mind on, like I was able to focus just on the makeup, even for those couple hours when I was filming, or my Instagram videos, talking in my stories and things. Like it gave me something to put my energy into, to kind of, in a sense, distract myself. And I'm so thankful for you guys, and I'm grateful for you guys for giving that to me, because I don't know that if without like that happening, or without filming and feeling the support from you guys and things, if I would have been able to honestly like get out of bed, because it's been really hard. It's just been hard. It's been the hardest thing that we've ever had to go through. And I just want to thank you guys for giving me support, even knowing you guys didn't know you were giving me support. And I also just want to say that if you are going through this, or you've been through this, just know that, you're not alone. And I just feel like there has to be a bigger purpose to why this happened. That's how I feel. And I know that that's giving me a little bit of peace, in that maybe, like I said, I was meant to share my story, and maybe, I can give someone else a bit of peace in knowing that they're not alone, and that this is common, and more common than I even knew. My doctor told me that 1 in every 4 pregnancies actually has a miscarriage, like ends in a miscarriage. And I had no idea the statistics for it were that high. And obviously I had no idea about this like certain kind of miscarriage. And I didn't even know this was a thing. So I hope that maybe I brought some awareness to it in a way, like maybe, you've never heard of this and now you know. And yeah, so moving forward, we still haven't like fully decided, when we want to start trying again or anything like that. I do have my follow-up appointment next week. So I'll go to the follow-up appointment. They'll talk me through just making sure we got everything and kind of moving forward what to do now. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end this video. I don't know if it's all over the place or how. I know I was all over the place. But hopefully you found, if you're watching this video and this is something you're going through, hopefully you found this helpful. Please leave any questions you guys have down below. I will try my best to answer them. I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for just your constant love and your constant support. And honestly, like I said, I couldn't have gotten through this without you guys. I'm still going through it, and I still need your love, and I still need your support and your prayers. And yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.